here, Swissair 111 Heavy.
Swissair 111, roger, and...
Descent to flight level 310.
310.
310, Swissair 111 Heavy.
This is the first interview with one of the air traffic controllers in Moncton.
My name is Bill Pickerel, and on September 2nd, 1998, I was one of two Halifax terminal controllers working the evening shift. The PAN in any kind of a special condition is usually dealt with as an emergency, and this in fact was dealt with that way. The aircraft was immediately given priority, and the high-level supervisor initiated a call to the Rescue Coordination Center.
Pickerel's colleague determines that Swissair 111 is just 66 nautical miles from Halifax and 300 from Boston. But pilot Zimmerman has chosen an airport he knows.
A lot of times when you're having a problem, you would rather be dealing with an issue where you're much more familiar with the airport, because that relieves a little stress on you. This is his initial problem. He's sitting there, he's looking up there, and he's trying to think, well, I've got smoke here. Now, what does it mean? Let's see, where are we? Where's the closest place I can go to that I can talk to a Swissair mechanic? Boston.
Swissair 111 Center.
Swissair 111 Heavy, go ahead.
Would you prefer to go into Halifax?
Or we better put the mask on.
Stand by.
Realizing their location, Zimmerman decides Halifax is the best option.
Affirmative, Swissair 111 Heavy. We prefer Halifax from our position.
Swissair 111, roger. Proceed direct to Halifax. Descend now to flight level 290.
Level 290 to Halifax, Swissair 111 Heavy.
The controller signs off with another aircraft. His jurisdiction is high-altitude flights. As Swissair is on descent to Halifax, he hands over responsibility to terminal controller Bill Pickerel.
At that point, everything was normal. I gave the pilot an initial descent, and he requested to level off at an intermediate altitude to get the cabin in order for the landing, which I took to mean that they needed to pack away dinner trays and things like that. It was an indication to me that while his situation was unusual, that they weren't considering it as an emergency at that time.
Watch your speed, Stefan. Don't descend too fast.
Roger.
Yes, Captain. We have smoke in the cockpit here. Have the cabin crew prepare for landing. We'll be setting down in Halifax in about 20 minutes. I'm about to start the checklist here.
Yes, Captain Zimmerman.
Zimmerman has two checklists for smoke in the cockpit. To complete both will take 20 minutes. This is Swissair company policy. In the meantime, Lowe continues the descent into Halifax.
Stefan, I'll need you to handle the radio while I do this checklist.
All right. 119.2 for the Swissair 111 Heavy.
Roger.
Swissair 111 is now at about 25,000 feet. Pickerel advises them to descend to 3,000. But First Officer Lowe says he'd rather fly at 8,000 until the passenger cabin is cleared. His decision to remain high underscores the sense of control in the cockpit.
2979.
From my point of view, it gave all initial appearances that it should be a fairly straightforward operation, that assuming that everything happened normally, the aircraft would require a minimum of handling to lead them into Halifax.
Swissair 111, you can descend to 3, level off at an intermediate altitude if you wish, just advise.
But Pickerel is concerned the plane is not coming down fast enough.
It appeared that the aircraft might have been a little bit high, and I wanted to ensure that the pilots were aware of how far they were from the airport, how many miles they had to fly, so that they could judge their own descent and make their decision about what they wanted to do.
Roger. At the time, we descend to 8,000 feet, and we are clear at any time to 3,000
feet. I keep you advised.
Okay, can I vector you to set up for runway 06 at Halifax?
Roger, vector for 6 will be fine. Swissair 111 heavy.
Swissair 111, roger, turn left heading of 030.
Left heading 030 for the Swissair 111 heavy.
Captain Zimmerman needs information for the unfamiliar airfield, but his flight bag is out of reach. He summons the flight attendant to help.
You hailed me, Captain.
For 2 minutes now. I need that flight bag there. It's got the approach charts for Halifax. Okay, get back to your crew.
Yes, Captain.
This is your matron at cabin speaking.
The chief flight attendant notifies passengers that the flight is being diverted. There is no panic. The plane is flying normally, and there is no sign of smoke in the cabin.
Swissair 111, the localizer frequency is 109.9. You've got 30 miles to fly to the threshold.
We're going to need more than 30 miles.
But still, at more than 20,000 feet, Swissair 111 is too high to make a landing in 30 miles.
The frequency is 109.9 for the localizer.
Okay, roger, 109.9, and we are turning left, heading north, Swissair 111 heavy. And we've got to dump fuel. Agreed.
So far, communications from Swissair have been calm. Still, Moncton Centre initiates emergency efforts at Halifax Airport. Preparing ground crews for the landing of Swissair 111, Pickerel seeks more information.
Swissair 111, you have time. Could I have your number of souls on board and your fuel on board, please, for emergency services?
Roger. At this time, fuel on board is 230 tons. We have to dump some fuel. May we do that in this area during descent?
Pickerel is surprised to learn so late that Swissair 111 needs to dump fuel.
At that point, it became more of a complicated situation. In fact, with every transmission after that, it became more and more complicated.
Pickerel considers his options for a safe place that won't take the aircraft too far from Halifax. He decides to direct the aircraft over St. Margaret's Bay, about 30 miles from the airport. Dumping fuel is standard procedure. A fully fueled jumbo jet is too heavy and could break up on landing.
Are you able to take a turn back?
But co-pilot Lowe wonders if, given their situation, they might forego the regulations.
They want us to turn to the south. Should we just forget about dumping and just land? No, dump it. Okay, we are able for a left or right turn to the south in order to dump.
I initiated the vector back toward St. Margaret's Bay to start him in that direction. It indicated to me that, again, it wasn't a critical situation on board, that in fact he did have time to be able to go back and dump his fuel over the water.
Swissair 111, roger. Turn left heading of 200 degrees and advise me when you're ready to dump. It will be about 10 miles before you're off the coast. You will still be within about 25 miles of the airport.
Roger, we are turning left, 200. In that case, we are going to descend to only 10,000 feet in order to dump the fuel.
Roger, maintain 10,000. I'll advise you when you're over the water. It will be very shortly.
Roger. Are you in the emergency checklist for air conditioning smoke? Yes.
Swissair 111, say again, please.
Sorry, that was not for you. Swissair